Hello once again, my fellow lower life forms. Today, I want to thank y'all for clicking on this video, and I want to thank most of all Miss Yummy for this request and this very generous donation. I will do the best of my ability to make this a video you will enjoy. But today, we have the Overlord of Death, Ainz Ooal versus Iihiko Shishime from Medaka box. Now, I will be covering the Overlord himself, Ainz, and my partner in crime, Mr. Crafty Scales, will be handling Iihiko. So let's get this started. The Overlord of Death itself finds his way into a match. I want to say I was hoping to make an in-depth video in regards to Overlord scaling, but I feel like this video is a good chance just to show how powerful the ruler of Nazareth truly is. To start things off, I've been aware that there's a lot of Overlord downplay where some people believe Ainz is only town level, if even, or only continental at best. But yes, we're going to be going over Ainz Ooal's AP. But as I said before, we have statements of Ainz dealing with entities that have threatened the world itself. Even if you want to interpret world as society, we know there are multiple continents on the new world, so this would still be multi-continental at the bare minimum. But that's just the baby stuff, because we have a wonderful calc that puts Ainz at large star level, as I showed in my Death Knight video. But that's enough of the low level scaling. Let's get into the big chungus meat of this game, the meat and the potatoes, shall we? For this, we need to use the Devourer of Nine Worlds, which was stated to eat a countless amount of leaves from the tree of Yggdrasil, until only a few remained and these became world items. That doesn't sound too impressive at first, but here's the thing. These leaves are stated to be worlds, and I already know there's gonna be that one person that says, oh, worlds, so only planetary, but that is incorrect. They are universes which have their own timelines. As we see, Seba states that the new world is as vast as the sixth floor of Nazareth, which is infinite in size and is smaller than the worlds of Yggdrasil. And we also have scans that show that there is a flow of time within the new world. But there are two interpretations we can go with this. You can interpret for the word countless, because I know a lot of people debate about definitions, which I find to be ridiculous, but I'll give you options. Countless, you can say countless is still finite, just too many to count. So for this interpretation, we have to look into what's the record for the farthest a human being has been able to count. And that result is 1 million. This took about, last I checked, maybe 87 days for them to pull off. And according to this source that I found, it states that to count to 10 million would take about a year to complete, and then to count to 100 million it would be 10 years. To count to 1 billion it would take 100 years or more. So going off of this math, 100 million is 10 years work, so easily above 10 million 4D universes, which would still qualify for multiversal. Or if we go with the infinite argument, it just bumps it up to multiversal plus. Wait, there is more. He doesn't just stop at 4D plus or infinite 4D, because Ainz is able to manipulate what is referred to as an extra dimensional space. Now, for those who are a bit confused, extra dimensions are proposed additional space or time dimensions beyond the 3+1 typical of observed space-time. So this would arguably bring Ainz to 5D or low complex multiversal, if we go by Versus Wiki standards, or high multiverse plus by character stats and profile standards. But if you think this is bad, if you do not like this argument, you're gonna want to burn me at the stake for this next one. Because you can arguably, again, I know this is not for everyone, you can arguably get Ainz to outer versal due to platonic.
Wise men talk because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something.
My head.
Platonism is the view that there exist abstract objects, because abstract objects are wholly non-spatiotemporal. Oh, you're finally awake. There are two things that a person should never be angry at: what they can help and what they cannot. I think I can help this.
Stop, please, no, don't do this, no. It burns, no.
Many months later. A few moments later.
We have finally got an announcement trailer for the new Jujutsu Kaisen game, and it looks great!
What did you do?
I'm sorry.
Oh, shit. No, 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 no.
I could really go for a sandwich.
Ainz is stated to be the avatar or incarnation of death within the narrative. He's also stated to have absolute power or to be transcendent over life and death, and he merely views death as a state of being, life and death also being a duality. So I'm just saying, arguable. So in conclusion for AP, Ainz can range anywhere from multiversal to multiversal plus, all the way to low complex multi, and then last but not least, outerversal. And that concludes AP. Now we'll be going into speed. Welcome back, my cheese factory employees. Now, as promised, we're getting into speed arguments for Ainz Ooal. To get started, we just have to address the ugly part. Some galaxy brains believe Ainz is only lightning speed or vaguely above it, but I will give some of these intellectuals some credit, as I've seen some people agree he's light speed or faster than light due to scaling above Gasif, whose base attacks are stated to be light speed, and his skills are stated to be speed of light, but he can also amp himself to be faster, which is fine, but we can do better. So Brain Unglaus developed skills, or a skill to counter Gazif's lightspeed 6-fold slash of light, and his counter skill is stated to be so fast that no human could hope to detect what happened or let alone guard against it. Now, me and another few scalers that I consulted with agree that this correlates with a perception blitz, not just a normal speed blitz. And I want to thank my wonderful comrade Optimize, this lazy bastard who never uploads any videos, who actually did this calc for me. So please give him some love, go check out his content. He makes good videos if he ever fucking uploads. Pretty sure we'll all die of old age, but just show him some love. Due to this calculation, the distance is 3 meters. As we know, field has a range of 3 meters. The perception time of a human is 0.01313 seconds, which is the time you would blitz a person's perception, but they'd still be able to perceive you. And option B is 0.004 seconds. That is the time in which you would blitz a person's perception and they would have no idea what happened. So for option A, 3 meters divided by 0.013 gives us a result of 230.769 meters per second. Option B, 3 meters divided by 0.004 gives us 750. The ratio between a sword swing and a reaction time, because the peak speed of a cutting part of the blade is about 20 meters per second. So divide these two outputs by 20 and we get a difference of, for option A, 11.53 times, or option B, 37.5. So now we put in Gazif, let's just assume he's only light speed. If we go with option A, it's only 11.53 times the speed of light, roughly. If we go with option B, it'll be 37.5 times the speed of light. But like the most likely option is B. We concluded this because, again, the skill states no human could hope to detect it, nor would they be able to defend against this. That a full-on perception blitz makes the most sense. So you could get Brain Unglaus to 37.5 times the speed of light with this. Why is this relevant? Well, because Brain Unglaus fought Shaltir in this altercation. Shaltir was looking for a martial artist, and she considered his attack so weak and so slow that she compared it to a snail taking a stroll on a sunny day. And from this scan that's on screen, this is arguably a faster brain, but let's just assume that this is the same one just for simplicity's sake. But she considers his martial arts so pathetic that she couldn't even tell he was using martial arts, and she apologizes to him and says that she can only notice a change in strength by meters, that she cannot tell the difference between 1 or 2 millimeters. So his speed is so insignificant and like just so unfathomably like slow that she just cannot, like, it's unquantifiable to her. That is so disrespectful. But like, look, there are multiple ways we can go about this for lower tiers of speed. Option A is we simply assume she perception blitzed him, which would put a heavily suppressed Shalltear at 1406.25 times faster than light, or massively faster than light plus, if we just use the simple 37.5 times for perception blitz. Or we can take the snail comparison literally, and I know people are gonna say it's hyperbolic. But what some of y'all fail to realize is Overlord tends to be very literal in its descriptions. Also, it makes sense for her to view the peak of humanity this way, as she is a being who surpassed or transcended even the realm of heroes, which surpasses all of humanity. The difference between the speed of light and a snail is 22,353,887,633 times difference. So let's multiply that by 37.5 for Brain on Glouse, since he's 37.5 times FTL. That is, Brain on Glouse is 838,270,000,000. You get the idea. So there's a difference between Brain and a snail, and Shalltear considers his speed to be equivalent to a snail, which, if we use that same difference in speed between him and a snail and use it between her and him, Shalltear would have a speed of over 31 trillion times the speed of light. If you want the exact number, 31,435,154,484,375 times faster than light. I know some peeps are gonna hate that argument, which is fine. I can't tell you what to believe. I can only give you options. But let's move on to the higher speed arguments. So for the higher speed, we know Shalltear is capable of using greater teleportation, which is stated to allow instantaneous transition without restriction to distance. And I know people are going to argue teleportation doesn't equal speed. I understand that. It's perfectly valid. But in the fight between Ainz and Shalltear, Ainz is actually able to outspeed and beat her teleportation with an attack in this fight. I had someone argue that he simply precogged the attack where she would move, which isn't a bad argument, as Ainz is an excellent tactician. But the problem is, how would he precog teleportation that has zero limitation on distance? I could see the argument working if she tried teleporting behind him or near him to attack, like she previously tried where he laid traps for such a scenario. We also have the feat of Ainz moving and talking through reverse time. This can be argued to be a bit iffy. It could be argued that he simply has time resistance, but the only instance of Ainz mentioning resistance to time is time stop. But again, it's worth mentioning, as Ainz was able to perceive Shalltear reversing time, or rather, the reason I argue this is Shalltear rewinded time on herself to heal, but also it rewinded the damage to reality as Ainz' attack severed or cleave through the fabric of space, and it was reversed to the point as if the attack never happened, and Ainz was able to perceive this and still react. So in conclusion, for speed, we have multiple options. Option A is the lowest of the low, where you can get her to 1,406.25 times faster than light, or for Ainz, higher, since you would arguably be on par, if not greater, than Shalltear. Option B, 31 trillion and extra times faster than light. Or C, for him outspeeding instantaneous teleportation, infinite speed. Or D, if you want to take the him moving through reverse time as an actual argument, it would be beyond infinite to a form of immeasurable speed. But again, options are completely yours. I am the most confident in option C, as he is blatantly outspeeding her teleportation, because I understand the whole him moving through reverse time can be argued as a time resistance feat, which is perfectly valid, but the infinite speed for him outspeeding teleportation is still there, and even if not, 31 trillion times faster than light. Now we get to the painful part, because we're getting to hacks and abilities, and Ainz has anywhere from 718 to 738 spells in his arsenal. He also has many resistances to aid him in this fight. Just to give you an idea, I'm gonna flash just all his hacks to see what pain I have to go through to read all of this. I will try to bring up only relevant ones, but like, dear lord, even then, it's still a lot. So Ainz can create middle tier undead. So if you recall from my lovely Death Knight video, Death Knight is middle tier, so Ainz can summon 12 Death Knights in this matchup, so that's going to be a huge help. He has negative dark energy touch, despair aura 5, negative protection, dark soul, black halo, undead blessing, unholy protection, wisdom of darkness, speak evil tongues, ability damage 4, piercing damage resistance 5, slashing damage resistance 5, turn resistance 3, high tier physical immunity 3, high tier magic immunity 3, cold, acid, and electrical immunities, as well as arcane vision and see-through invisibility. The negative energy touch is, he's basically able to negate your stats, and just, it's something that not even a lower form of regen can help recover from, because it just attacks your stats and you gradually grow weaker and you degrade. Can die from just having your stats reduced to 0. Despair aura, it can either cause insanity, fear, and if you're just weaker than Ainz, it can cause instant death. And Ainz with his staff of Ainz Ooal actually boosts his despair aura to the level that it can even affect the guardians who are on his level and cause them massive pressure. But let's go over some more of his abilities or resistances. Biological penalties resistance, bludgeoning vulnerability 5, critical hit immunity, dark vision, death immunity, disease immunity, eating and drinking and breathing are necessary, energy drain immunity, so his stat, you cannot drain his energy, he has infinite stamina. He has an immunity to mind affecting abilities. He has necromancy resistance, paralysis immunity, physical penalty resistance, poisoning immunity. With any negative energy used against him, it heals him. Sleep immunity. Ainz has maximized magic, which allows him to increase the power or the effectiveness of his skills. One of Ainz's personal favorites is Grasp Heart, where he's able to just grab people's hearts and just pop them. It's an instant death, unless people are strong enough to resist it, where his base attack, but we'll get into how that can easily change later. Ainz can also attack astral entities with his Astral Smite. He also has petrification. One of Ainz's strongest abilities is reality warping or law manipulation with Wish Upon a Star and with his world items. As with Wish Upon a Star, there's no limitation to what Ainz can wish for. I know some people are going to say no limits fallacy, but it's literally stated within the narrative, there is nothing that it cannot do. It just takes XP. Is that Ainz can resist, has conceptual existence erasure. Like he can resist his very concept being destroyed, as he went up against a dragon using wild magic, and it had an ability called Soulbreaker Breath. It was wild magic considered to be on par with the world-class item Longinus. It was an irresistible power that could destroy the soul of anything it touched. It deleted their information data, so the very concept of said entity. Like, the only way would be to come back from that is from another world item, possibly. But Ainz was able to resist this attack. Ainz could also negate lower forms of resurrection. Ainz has many buffs that he uses preemptively before battle starts, such as Fly, Blessing of the Magic Caster, Infinity Wall, Magic Ward, Life Essence, Greater Full Potential. Just a lot of these abilities. A lot of these maximize his magic. They increase his penetration power. Indomitability allows him to just have an indomitable will, so you can't control him. False data life, so if you can see like his health by some means, you'll just be seeing a fake health bar. Life essence also allows him to see like the status of his opponent's health. Just a lot of buffs. He can even increase his luck probability. Ainz also has matter manipulation. Is able to just decompose items into dust. Ainz, another strong ability that Ainz will have is Perfect Unknowable. It's a 9-tier spell that makes the user invisible to the naked eye. It also erases one traces and sounds, including the pitch of the user's voice from being heard. It basically makes it so like if they're almost like they're completely erased from existence itself. He also has Reality Slash, that it can cut or cleave through the very fabric of space, and its durability negation, as it can disregard any form of magical defense or just any defense. He can also nerf or debuff his opponents, as he can slow down enemies with his skill Slow. Despair Aura, I didn't give a good explanation, but besides inflicting fear, it could reduce the stats of its victims. Ainz can also manipulate memories and also can lead to brain damage if he so chooses to be that extreme. Ainz also can literally just kill people just by saying death. Like no crazy magic, no huge explosion. He can literally just say the word death and people will die. Ainz can also negate teleportation. He can also drain people's energy. Ainz's mere presence can literally cause people to feel as if their soul is being stolen away from their body and making them almost die. Ainz is also able to heal himself. He can also control the weather, to manipulate the weather how he wishes. He can also create force fields, a wall of protection from projectiles, an anti-life cocoon to damage anything living that tries to enter. Ainz is able to create black holes. Or he can use skills that, again, instant death skills such as Cry of the Banshee. He can also charm people, but the more relevant ones are such as his paralysis, him being able to increase his penetration power, him being able to sense his enemy, the perfect unknowable, which can literally erase his presence from existence itself, and his non-elemental attacks. But the main trump card, or one of the main trump cards for Ainz, the goal of all life is death. And this wonderful ability makes it so the effects of instant death magic and skills, and it causes those augmented instant death attacks to bypass any immunities or resistances and kill their targets after a certain amount of time has passed. And the crazy thing about this is that this level of death is not normal, as it's even able to kill beings that are devoid of the concept of life, such as Shaltier's homunculus. So this is death manipulation on a conceptual level.
I almost forgot. One of Ainz's most powerful abilities is his time stop, as it's not a normal time stop. It's an advanced version of time stop. And I know it's going to sound really confusing, but the reason I say this is because he was able to affect an enemy that was able to resist Demiurge's time stop, and it was able to completely freeze it in time when it was able to break out of Demiurge's. So that's actually pretty insane.
おや、時間対策を施されていない完全な雑魚だと思いましたが、何らかの手段でジュデッカの凍結を解除したようですね。エクステンドマジックタイムストップ。
And then, of course, as per Crafty's request, his favorite ability of Ainz that will surely turn the tides of the battle. You thought the goal of all life is death was the top tier? No, it's the pitcher of endless water. It is a pitcher with an infinite amount of water. That's all, folks. Fuck off.
Iihiko's scaling is pretty easy, as he just blatantly scales above his cosmology. He does this by easily killing Ajimu millions of times over and beating down Medaka, who Ajimu admits inferiority to. Ajimu not only views her own verse as fiction, but even some duality as nothing in comparison to her. Even the narrator states that she's a trend-setting character as she's about to end her manga, making it pretty consistent that she transcends her verse. And if you made it this far, I'd like to ask you to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps check out. And while you're doing that, I'm Mr. Crafty from Mr. Crafty Scales, so please check out my channel. I try to post weekly anime content. The medaka box cosmology contains transcending dimensions, making their cosmology at least 4th dimensional. Hence, Ajimu transcending it would make her 5th dimensional or low complex multiversal. Though this can be taken higher, as both her and Medaka has a skill that allows them to transcend into higher dimensions, making Ajimu 6th dimensional or higher into low complex multiversal, and Iihiko by proxy. Speed is simple, as he's shown to think that Medaka's Kurkami Phantom is slow, and she's stated that if she moves as fast or not faster than the speed of light in this state, already placing Iihiko at faster than light speeds. But on a higher hand, we do know that Ajimu was able to nuke a star out of the sky. Even if we just assume that that's the closest star to us, which would be about 4.2 light years away. We don't have a definitive time frame for the speed of the attack, but it is depicted to be an extremely short time frame. So we're just assuming that it takes 10 seconds for it to travel there. This attack would be moving at over 13 million times the speed of light. and Iihiko ended up getting all their attacks and abilities on him as they did not work, and for this to work, his ability allows him, he needs to perceive the attack for him not to be affected by any abilities, so he should scale this or he would be massively faster than the speed of light. Now Iihiko's main ability is the irreversible destruction. Basically, any attack that he views as an attack will automatically be reflected, and if he gets hit by it, it will not work the second time, and any damage that he does can never be required, even physical pain or damage to even loss of stamina or energy. Now we must look at what he has negated or has resistance to. Wait, what's all this? No, what is all this? What's this too much? No, this is too much information. No, this can't be it. No! Yeah, if you think I'm gonna risk whatever I have left to my sanity to read all of that, there's literally legitimately over quintillions of abilities, you're crazy. But Laycheck and I have gone over them, so I guess you will have to wait for the conclusions. But one more interesting ability that he does have is a form of plot manipulation, as he has a similar ability if not greater than Medaka, as it's stated that in terms of their character and the main character they have a show in manga, they won't actually ever lose a battle in scenarios no matter what happens. This is of course in a sense of their ability to manipulate the plot, which is just part of their existence. It even got to the point where Ajimu tried to switch the genre of the manga to try to combat Medaka's ability.
Oh my god, after weeks and weeks and weeks of research and writing scripts, editing, just getting everything I need, I'm finally done with Ainz. My god, I can't imagine how hard it was for you,
Weeks?
Krafty.
Did you say weeks? Bro, I finished that in one day. What do you mean?
What the fuck did you just say to me?
Bro, look, I was watching some Shameless. I was eating like extra cheesy burrito. I was like, oh shit, I should start my thing. And yeah, I just did it. Bro, what were you doing? What were you doing, bro?
Oh my god. No wonder the video you sent me was like 30 seconds long.
30 seconds? Hey, there's at least 3 minutes. At least 3 minutes.
I'm over here writing autobiography for fucking Ainz and his abilities, and then you send me a 3-minute video.
Hey, I won't be honest, the SpongeBob thing was the absolute most work I put into that video. That took me like 3 hours to do.
But in all seriousness, guys, like this one was like a really annoying one to like for us to come to a conclusion to, because like
they just negate each other. Fuck, this is so, it's literally like, I can do this but I can negate this. Oh yeah, well I do this. Well, like it's stupid.
Like all the stuff that I brought up, like the super interesting sounding stuff, like Ainz's advanced version of time stop, that it can work on people who have resisted time stop. It really wouldn't, as cool as that sounds and as like cool as I made it out to be, like fucking Iihiko just has so many fucking counters, dude. He really is just that guy who just does not give a shit. And then it's just like it just came into like an immovable object versus an unstoppable force, because it's like really whose ability or whose thing would win in this, and it's just, oh my god, it's a pain in the ass.
It legitimately was. We actually spent, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I spent more time discussing the matter than actually editing my video.
We oh my god, it was not easy, because a lot of the time was spent between us just arguing about how would certain scenarios go down. Sometimes it got a little bit heated, just a little tad
Bro,
bit.
we almost got knives.
We almost went full British.
Bro, we narrowed it down to the most sophisticated way of figuring out who would win. On a scale of 1 through 10, how many times would they come out on victory? I know, very sophisticated.
They know, again, no prior knowledge. They're not gaining knowledge from these fights. And how much do we think a character would win in these scenarios?
Yeah, so there's like, within that subcategory, there's another subcategory. Because like I mentioned in my thing, like, Iihiko has a type of plot or supernatural luck manipulation shit going on. So let's say if you say that Ainz doesn't have a counter for that, then like there's really nothing you can do. Like that's like something we both agreed on. If he doesn't have a counter for that, then like it'll just be like almost like it's destined for him to win, you know? But like if let's say Ainz does have a lot of shit like that, so let's say he does have a counter or can negate it with his own, right? Then I would say it's either like at the most highest, like it's like Ainz is so much faster. Like in character, he has abilities that he'll just might be able to blitz him. Like the goal, like something we mutually agree on is if Ainz pops out, if the goal of all life is death, like Iihiko's just gonna die. He has no counters for like conceptual death, you know.
And then
So,
even if he did, arguably, this is what comes into the whole immovable object versus the unstoppable force, because the goal, like stated previously and like I showed before, the goal of all life is death literally just says fuck you to all your resistances and immunities and defenses. So then if he has like this ability that just lets him counter, what's gonna happen? An unknown scenario.
Yeah, like it's really like if that we mutually that would beat him. So let's say he does get that off, then I say like I think we both agree that I agree that Ainz is gonna end up winning 6 or 7 times out of 10. It's very equal. You can maybe argue 50-50. Like I believe. Like what was your opinion again?
Yeah, I said it could really just go either way, but like I think when it comes like with Ainz like superior like tactician skills, at least in my personal opinion, but like I genuinely do believe it's really up in the air. So I would say I would agree 6 out of 10 to 50-50.
It's like if he didn't have the speed advantage, this shit would be like a lot different, you know. Like if there were, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
and also like this also plays into their characters heavily, because like if Hito just doesn't want to view his attacks as nothing, then he won't counter them and he might get negged by something. But if Ainz wastes his time with his lower abilities, ironically he couldn't recover his stamina for his bigger ability, you know what I mean? Like what if it would be funny, like he just wastes all this shit on his low abilities, like, oh, that's him, I take you seriously. He's like, oh shit, like he can't, like it really all depends, but it also really factors in on their character.
But like, fuck the
like
goal of all life is death. That isn't his main trump card. No, we're gonna bump it up that he wins 7 out of 10. It's because of the picture of endless water. Explain.
Now, I've done extensive research. I swear to God, no one inside Medaka box has water manipulation. Hell, I don't even think these guys take showers. Water's an obscure source in this. Like, I swear to God, I think if he saw water, his brain would be so bedazzled by it, he would not even be able to process what's going on. Like, Hito's been around for 5,000 years, has not seen water. Like, come on. Like, here's how ironically what would happen. He would use his massive speed to blitz over to him, and he would just grab him by the throat and be like, you thirsty? Shove infinite supply of water down his throat, and he would have no counter for it, because he's never countered water. Like, it's literally the foolproof.
Biggest edge for Ainz is obviously the goal of all life is death. Obviously the endless pitcher of water. I mean, come on, guys. And just his massive speed gap, because you could either go with the 31 trillion and extra times faster than light, you have infinite, and then even if you don't, the arguably infinite to some form of immeasurable for like moving through reverse time. But as I said before, you could argue it's some form of weird time resistance, but we are both confident in the infinite speed for Ainz. So either way you look at it, even if you go with the 31 trillion, he's still just massively speed blitzes. Oh, do you want to go over the omnidirectional, because that was brought up with some stuff, and then having the predating time as well?
Yeah, I didn't really address that in my video, because again, I don't see the relevance in it, because with the omnidirectional thing, I think it's just blatant. It's just something that's omnidirectional is like something that attacks in all directions. All I even looked into, that's all that happens. So like, I don't really know what to say. It's just there, you know, you can attack in all directions. It's not really a speed increase, you know, and Hito doesn't even have that in the first place anyway. But with the predating time, so yes, Ajimu does predict the universe's creation, but there's nothing that implies that time never, like, she predicts like time as temporally, as she's explaining the time that has passed. Like I know people can argue that's her perception of time. That's a very valid argument. The thing is, there's nothing that applies that there was no time or temporality in the first place, you know? Okay. Like, it's like, even if you do argue, okay, let's say you argue, okay, they're like, so maybe inaccessible speed Ajimu, like Ainz Ooal inaccessible to even a higher, even like a sub form of immeasurable speed arguments too. So if you want to use the higher end scaling, then like, you know, so does Ainz as well.
I want to say sorry for the delay. I know this took a while. I want to make something clear. I'm never gonna just release a video just to release it, just to get it out of the way. And please don't expect that of me. I'm only gonna release stuff that I feel like I can be genuinely proud of, and that I think will be sufficient, and like make you guys, like those who make any requests, even if it's not donated, like donations, if you guys make requests, I won't release a product that I believe is shit. I will only release it when I think it's ready. And that's why, and I apologize, Miss Yummy, that I know this took a long time, but I want you to know that I was heavily just focused on like getting as much as the information that I can to get it right. And also because Crafty is a little rat.
You know what? You don't get paid like by YouTube, so I can guess all I want in your videos. So shut the fuck up. Like you're not, bro. What you mean, bro? I provided everything. I put my 3 hours into editing. What do you mean?
お前はここで死ぬ。お前には助けるほどの価値がない。特別な才も能力も持たないお前には、それは生まれた瞬間から始まる。才能を持つ者と持たざる者、裕福な家庭と困窮した家庭。しかし、その不公平を嘆くことはない。なぜなら、死だけは全ての者に与えられる平等。つまり、この私である。
Hey guys, please like the video and subscribe. Oh my god. You like moan at the end.